Your life has become a collection of moments without a story, snapshots without sequence, experiences without meaning. You consume fragments of content, pursue disconnected goals, maintain relationships that lack continuity, and wonder why everything feels hollow despite being more connected than any generation in history. Byung-Chul Han diagnosed this as one of the most profound crises of our time. We have murdered narrative, and in doing so, we have killed the very thing that makes existence meaningful. We live in an age of radical fragmentation, where every moment stands alone, disconnected from past or future, stripped of the coherent story that once gave human life its sacred structure. Think about how you experience your days now. You wake to notifications that pull you in 17 directions. You consume news in bite-sized chunks that offer no context or resolution. You scroll through social media feeds that present reality as an endless stream of unrelated images and opinions. You binge-watch series that you forget immediately after watching. You pursue goals that shift with every self-help trend. Your life has become a collection of data points rather than a coherent narrative. This isn't accidental. The digital age has systematically destroyed our capacity for sustained attention, sequential thinking, and narrative coherence. Every platform is designed to fragment your consciousness, to break your experience into profitable moments that can be monetized, tracked, and optimized. You don't watch stories anymore, you consume content. You don't live experiences, you collect moments for documentation. Han understood that human beings are storytelling animals. We don't just tell stories, we are stories. Our identity, our purpose, our sense of meaning all emerge from our ability to place ourselves within coherent narratives that connect our past to our present to our future. Without story, we become what he calls the undead, technically alive but spiritually vacant, moving through existence without meaning or direction. Consider how you understand your own life. Can you tell a coherent story about who you are, where you came from, and where you're going? Or has your identity become a fragmented collection of roles, preferences, and experiences that don't connect into anything larger? Most people today struggle to articulate their own narrative because they've lost the mental infrastructure that creates meaning from sequence. The death of narrative manifests everywhere. Relationships lack the patience for development. You swipe through potential partners like browsing a catalog rather than allowing love stories to unfold slowly. Careers become series of disconnected positions rather than vocational journeys with purpose and growth. Learning becomes the consumption of random facts rather than the development of wisdom through sustained inquiry. Even our memories have been fragmented. Your phone's camera roll contains thousands of images but tells no coherent story. Your digital life produces endless data but no narrative continuity. You document moments obsessively but never weave them into meaningful patterns. You've become an archivist of fragments rather than an author of your own existence. Han reveals that this fragmentation serves power structures perfectly. Coherent narratives create collective identity, shared purpose, and the possibility of sustained resistance. Fragmented consciousness produces perfect consumers, beings who can be manipulated moment by moment without the continuity of thought that might question the system. You can't rebel against what you can't narrate coherently. The attention economy profits from your fragmentation. Every app is designed to break your focus into profitable micro moments. Every platform wants to capture your attention right now without concern for how that moment connects to your larger story. You've been trained to live in an eternal present that disconnects you from the narrative continuity that creates meaning. Notice how you consume information now. You read headlines without articles, watch clips without context, form opinions from tweets rather than sustained argument. Your political views, your relationship to current events, even your understanding of your own life become collections of fragments rather than coherent perspectives built through time and reflection. This death of narrative has psychological consequences that therapy and medication cannot address. Depression and anxiety often emerge not from chemical imbalances, but from the absence of meaning that only coherent story can provide. When you can't place your current suffering within a larger narrative of growth, purpose, or redemption, pain becomes meaningless, and meaningless pain is unbearable. The fragmentation extends to how you relate to time itself. Traditional cultures understood life as having seasons: childhood, youth, maturity, elderhood, each with its own purpose and meaning within the larger story of human development. Now you're expected to remain eternally youthful, constantly optimizing, never accepting the natural narrative arc of aging, wisdom, and acceptance. Even death has been robbed of narrative meaning. Previous generations understood death as the conclusion of a life story, the final chapter that gave meaning to all that came before. Now death is simply termination, the end of data collection rather than the completion of a meaningful narrative. We've lost the cultural stories that helped humans make sense of mortality. Han suggests that recovering narrative isn't about returning to traditional stories, but about reclaiming our capacity for sequential thinking, sustained attention, and coherent meaning-making. This requires resistance to the forces of fragmentation that surround us. It means choosing depth over breadth, continuity over novelty, story over content. Start by practicing narrative thinking in small ways. Instead of consuming random information, follow one story deeply over time. Instead of documenting moments, try to understand how your experiences connect to create meaning. Instead of optimizing individual moments, focus on the larger arc of your development as a human being. Read books that require sustained attention rather than consuming content designed for instant gratification. Engage in relationships that develop over time rather than interactions that exist only in the present moment. Pursue goals that connect to your larger story rather than achievements that serve only immediate satisfaction. The recovery of narrative requires what our culture has forgotten: patience, commitment, and the wisdom to understand that meaning emerges not from moments, but from the connections between moments. It requires recognizing that your life is not a collection of experiences to be optimized, but a story to be lived with intention and coherence. Most radically, it requires accepting that some experiences only make sense within the context of a larger narrative. Your failures, your suffering, your confusion aren't problems to be solved, but chapters in a story that gains meaning through continuity rather than optimization. In a world that has murdered story, choosing to live narratively isn't just personal healing, it's a revolutionary act. It's the assertion that your life has meaning beyond its utility, that your experiences deserve coherence beyond their immediate impact, that you are more than the sum of your data points. The death of narrative has left us spiritually homeless, wandering through fragments without meaning. But narrative can be reborn through the simple act of choosing to see your life as a story worth telling, and having the courage to live it with the continuity and purpose that makes existence sacred. The end. We don't need better stories. We need to remember that we are stories and that our humanity depends on keeping that story alive.